Welcome back, guys. Ben here, and today something a little bit different. We sat down with Antti Ilvessuo, the creative director and co-founder of Channel 37, who obviously are the developers behind The Last Caretaker. I was able to sit down with him and ask him a few questions about the game, about the origins of it, about some of the philosophical questions around it. This was kind of a bit of a prep of seeing Update 4, as well as we got to see a bit of Update 5 and 6 and beyond and all that kind of stuff as well, which was very cool. So I hope you find it useful. It is a little bit rough. It's my first proper interview. It was quite something, and lots to learn from it as well. So I'm not saying this is like a perfect interview or anything like that. I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. I hope you get to get some insight and a little bit of useful information from this at least. And it was very fun. And like I said, I'm here because you guys put me here. You guys have been supporting the channel and all that kind of stuff. So really do appreciate it. On that note, we're going to dive straight into it, so like, comment, subscribe, sit back, relax. Welcome back, everyone. Ben here, and today we are at the offices of Channel 37, and I'm joined by the creative director and co-founder, Antti Ilvessuo.
Yes, good.
Is that good? That's good. This is obviously the finished studio behind The Last Caretaker, and we're going to ask a few questions today and find out a bit more about the game. So, Antti, thank you for your time today. How are you doing?
No worries, I'm still alive.
You're still alive. So The Last Caretaker presents itself as a survival game, but it feels less about keeping yourself alive and more about, the striving for humanity and keeping them alive up in space. How do you feel internally about that ocean survival, the flooded world, and what the game is really about, and how you go about designing it, and where did that kind of idea come from?
Idea from the start when we founded the studio was do little bit open world game with the angle that you have to you have to move by sailing.
Yeah.
And when you sail, your home would be the one that you move. That was the starting point. First we started to do the game where you actually have a wind and actual sailing, but then it kind of felt it limits the movement, because if I sail and there's a wind and I want to go there, and the wind comes this direction, then I have to go like this.
Yeah.
And if I would want to go there and the wind is another direction, then I would still have to go this.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I want to go there and the wind is side, I have to go like this. So it felt like, okay, this is a little bit limiting. Then we introduced the engine that turned into power system. Then we talked with the guys and team, and then, okay, let's make a power moving system, and that evolved to Last Caretaker systems. But from the start, idea was to do something that is dynamic, and you have to move in ocean by something that floats, which is called boat in the modern English.
Yeah.
And then that evolved to Last Caretaker. It took about 1 year until we kind of figured out the backstory and the idea, and then it was pretty clear, and it was just like putting hands in the dirt and making the game.
Obviously, you as the main character being a robot, for want of a better word, but being a robot compared to being like the last human on Earth, was there like a thought or a temptation between that? Or was it very clear that it was like humanity were gone and we were going to be a robot itself?
It slowly evolved to what it was. First, it wasn't the idea. It was more like finding the system that support the gameplay.
Yeah.
And when we find those pieces, it evolved the game that it is now. So we didn't start in a way that we want to tell a story of Last Caretaker. We started that we want to have an open world game where there's static places that you move with your vehicle called boat, different places.
Yeah.
So I think that allowed us to kind of, without limiting in a certain system, without limiting in a certain storytelling, that we can't do something. We started to make the game that we feel is good, and then top of that we built the world and what the story
and then you start
is.
To settle on those kind of ideas. Yeah. Is there something maybe during that process or during the process since the early access release where you originally thought it might be fairly straightforward to implement or design in the game itself, and then it turned out to be much more difficult? Has there been something where you were like, when you were putting the idea onto the page, you were like, oh, that'll be really good to have, and then actually it was like a sweat to actually get it to work in the actual game itself?
founders we founded the company with it. We have been working in games 26 years.
Yes, yeah.
So that has taught to us that everything is hard.
Everything's hard. Yeah.
Everything is hard, and you shouldn't take anything granted. And of course, we know what the hurdles are, and then it's just work. Honestly, it's just the work, no hesitation, lots of execution. And usually at this point, people say long days, but we work generally 8 hours a day, and then we go home, and then we come back refreshed.
Yeah.
So we are really boring games today because we don't have stories to tell about extra crunch. When we are at work, we are at work, and when we do what we plan to do, and it's just extremely big amount of work, but you have to be really focused and do what is needed.
Yes.
Lots of stuff. Now when the game is early access, what we have been also focusing is just making it run better. So after, like, for example, January, the improvement has been 40%. So maybe that's something like, if I would think, surprised, but just amount of work to get the game running and also not breaking the save games has been really big.
Trying to achieve the vision, but also have it play smoothly as well. Yeah. Is there a design decision that you've made in The Last Caretaker, or a feature or something that you've shipped in the game that you feel like players might disagree with or not particularly like, but you believe, like, to your conviction, that is like what needs to be in the game because that's like its core in The Last Caretaker itself?
Something that player, I hope they will see, and what we will put in a game. But now, for example, because not every feature is in, some people may say that how do you make memories, or is the memories limited? But we are introducing systems later that can solve the issue of memories running out. But generally, apart from that, I don't know if when people watch, they're like, oh, why they haven't done that? But it's like, I think there's not kind of huge thing. And well, if the game don't run for everyone, we try to look the feedback. We get the crash logs that we are focusing. But I hope that there's nothing like why they did ruin the game.
No.
If this goes to YouTube, write it there like you ruined the game because of, and then we can look that. But I hope that we haven't made that kind of choices that would make people to hate the game.
No, absolutely not. Since launching into early access, has The Last Caretaker stayed true to its original vision, or have, like, its player feedback and the ideas kind of fed into the development as you've then processed through future updates, or have you always kind of had a very clear North Star of, like, this is where we want to go, or is it maybe a bit of both?
North Star is always like save the humanity. So it's easy if you think that your Last Caretaker, your job is to save the humanity. That's the North Stars, because the answer comes from that. Like, is this because of? Yes, it is. So that helps. But also some things, it's hard to name especially one thing, but we read the player comments, and then people, if we filter them, we may see that, okay, this thing maybe like what is people don't like, then we maybe reduce the price or like change the behavior a little bit. So that way we try to find solution. But the one thing that people don't see is that we get, if the game crashes, we get the report. We read the player feedback, what they send, and we follow the forums, not forums, but the Discord and Steam forums and the Discord, and we try to get overall view what's happening. It's almost impossible to read everything. We also try to reply every mail if somebody sends it. But it's this general feeling and general things that if, for example, something is not working or the module is too expensive or something, we try to catch it for sure. So play the game, send the feedback, or if you crash the game, we will notice and try to find the reasons.
And is there something you've changed significantly as a result of, like, player feedback, like a feature or something, or was, like, the camera drone, or like that was brought in recently with 3.5, with a lot of players wanting an option to be able to see their caretaker more? I don't know if you noticed when the jet ski was launched in the prior update, people were quite happy because they could see third person, and then they could take selfies on their like screenshots of their own caretaker and stuff like that as well.
But the photo mode was clear from the start that
was
we
always
will
gonna be
add it, but we didn't want to do it that you activate the photo mode in a menu. We wanted that to be in the world, and that evolved to that. So one North Star is that always like the game and menu has to be separated.
Yes.
In some games you may have these two mixed up. So, but the menu is menu. It's not part of the game main menu where you save games and load it. But then there's a separate part in the game, and you could mix that you would have in the main menu photo mode.
Yes.
If we do it this way, that it's a thing that you can fly and then you can take photos, we will use that as a game feature also.
Yeah.
And you know it,
diegetic. Yeah.
Don't tell them.
Yes. Yeah. So once The Last Caretaker was in the hands of players, once you had the early access release back in November, were you surprised by how people approach the game? Because I imagine obviously you've tested it loads, you sit down, you go through the opening level, you play through it yourself and everything, but then you then see creators and feedback from other players of how they're playing the game, and just doing things completely like not wrong but completely different to how you do it. Were you surprised by how different people approach the game and the gameplay itself?
I wouldn't say not much surprise, because we know that people will try to break everything, and that's totally fine. But I think it's more like a fun to watch how people play, because some people scrap everything from the start menu, or some people go out directly. But both are fine, and I think we were expecting that people play differently, and that's fine. But I wouldn't say like some huge surprises. Something is like maybe a little bit surprised that we didn't kind of expect so much, but people make ladders by using the boxes.
Yes.
So maybe that was something little bit that
I feel
was
like
surprising.
I remember when I was at the Hall of Humanity and the elevator, and you look up, it doesn't go up, does it? But you've got that little ledge with some items up there. And I remember thinking, how do I get up there? And then I was like, oh, I can put the boxes on the wall and then climb up that way. So was that the intended way to get up to that, or was that just kind of like
there's another ways to go everything? So it's like we didn't invent to lock out anything under the like box ladder.
Yes, yeah.
Hack.
Okay. This one's more to do with Finland itself, because a lot of Finnish games, including those from studios like obviously Remedy Entertainment, they're known for Alan Wake and Control, got Housemarque, who are doing Returnal and Saros that just came out recently, got the indie projects like Road to Vostok that just came into early access as well. They all seem to be very comfortable exploring themes of melancholy, isolation, strange worlds, deep systems. Also read, when I was brushing up on a little bit of like Finnish culture on the way over here, that sisu is like a really big mantra for Finnish people as well, from understanding. Do you think that's a coincidence from the outside, and that it's just a coincidence coming out of Finland, or is it just that it's something cultural about game development here and the games and the stories that Finnish people like yourself are creating? Because there's a lot of like similarities in terms of.
I'm just thinking how long this can take, but it's like,
not a lot of happy stories.
Sisu, no happy stories. It's just life. But the Sisu movies, Sisu is something that Finnish are like just do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the attitude that when we, for example, do The Last Caretaker, it's just like we just have to do it. We have to do it correctly.
Yeah.
And we are not happy yet. Game has sold well, but nobody's like popping kind of balloons and it's have sold much. We have to get things running better. We have to get better. We aim for good release version 1 and after that, and that's what we do, and we don't make noise about that.
Yes.
I think that's kind of like Sisu attitude, and maybe that's something that is in every Finnish studio, that we don't try to make noise, we just try to do good stuff, and do it well. And
in terms of like the atmosphere within The Last Caretaker itself, the oceaning games can sometimes feel like peaceful, terrifying, or even empty, depending on how it's designed. What specific feeling or emotional experience were you aiming to create within the world of The Last Caretaker? Because you don't have any NPCs or, you know, a lot of like other people that you're going to meet on the journey, and you've got a few enemies here and there and things like that. But at the same time, there's still that sense of connection for the lore and things like that as well with what's happening in the story.
what has been the starting point is that we have to build a world that feels real, and the world has to have a history and lots of things to explore. And if you explore those places, they have to be real and history. And that's something that kind of like allows the exploration become interesting. Everything that you arrive has to be interesting, has to feel like it has a history.
Yeah.
So
Like it's lived in.
that's so even it's like open world and sea. It's like when you play the Last Caretaker, you go out, you're like, okay, lots of stuff there.
Yeah.
When you have not played the game, it's like everything is new, but still after you have played the game, you have maybe visited 50% of the places.
Yes.
And you know everything is a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's that gives the sense of exploration and where I would go.
Yeah. Is that why it feels like I think every location is unique and there's no like cookie cutter approach with the POIs and the places you visit? There might be like 2 habitats, but they are very different from one another. Is that important then that everything's kind of like a handcrafted, tailored experience because it allows you to tell the story that was there for the people that were there before?
Yeah, they have to be different. We had the prototype doing procedural locations.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But that started to feel like, okay, they are different, but they're same.
Like generically.
And now it's, if the humans make it, it's the human imprint is visible, and that makes it feel that some people have lived there.
Yeah, and had a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we tried procedural content creation, and I think this is better because it gives you have to put effort in location. If you put effort, it's visible. If you do the lots of procedural thing, you don't have the effort other than setting up the systems, but then it's like feels same, and then you will still have to manually decorate it. So
yeah, and you lose the connection, I guess, with the handmade aspect.
Now it's just like, okay, if I want to do something different in this location, or whoever it generates, it's like, okay, they can do it.
Yeah.
If you build procedural systems, then you have to ask or whoever has made the procedural system to make it different.
So I've got a couple of community questions, but just before, I must get asked this constantly in comments on the videos, these 2 things. One is kind of counterintuitive because the name is The Last Caretaker, but people crying out for co-op in a survival game. And the other one is about it coming to consoles at some point. It's quite common, like come in 1.0, not during early access, but are there plans for that? And what are does having co-op in a game like this ruin the ethos of The Last Caretaker and being alone, or is that something that you would be open to exploring in the future?
Both are, I would say that let's see. We are really focused on the next updates.
Yeah.
And after that update, release number 1, and before that we have already updated. So we are not forgetting the game for sure, even after version 1.
Yeah.
But we will see the options, what is offered and how we do things.
Yeah.
You may have noticed that the game works instantly on controller.
Yeah.
So that's deliberate.
Yeah.
Help me to pronounce English.
Deliberate.
Deliberate.
Yeah, deliberate.
Choice.
Deliberate choice, yeah.
But let's see what comes
after
next updates. And the other one, if we do the co-op, we do it right. We don't want to do it cheap way.
Yeah. We have a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, but we are really focused on making the game as good as possible, run good as possible, have a expanding content.
Yeah.
And I hope people like it, they play the game. We will look different options that more people can play.
Yeah.
without breaking the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these just going to be rapid fire community
Rapid
questions.
fire, so you have to ask really
we're
fast.
Gonna go.
Do
So,
I have a 5 seconds on answer each? Yes, no, yes, no.
So, are there currently any plans to introduce base building or allow players to modify and expand existing locations within the game itself?
There's a system that you can scan and build things.
Yeah.
So again, let's see. Some systems are built.
There.
Groundwork is there. So let's see.
Okay. Players have noticed additional clusters shown on a certain in-game map inside Warehouse Alpha.
Where
Spoiler.
that is, I don't remember that.
Are these intended to become future explorable areas, or are they more there for the world building atmosphere, like the lore itself, that there are
Everything
other
has a
things going on?
reason, so it's not the decoration.
Not a decoration. Okay. How deep are you planning to go with boat upgrades and customization systems as development continues? Obviously, you saw the paint cans and the customization with the weapons and things like that. How much further are you planning to go when it comes to boats, different boats, editing the boat, making the boat yours?
So when we added the forklift, people were like questioning that why we added the forklift, but the forklift is the first reason is that the player can take control of different things. And that allows to build more, and that maybe answer may come something that we kind of allow people to do more. That may be related to both. I'm just trying to be politically correct answer, but there's a reasons, and we have to do things right. And with physics-based game, things have to be done in a certain way, in a certain order that allows us to expand stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So see, I didn't answer anything, but kind of answered.
So the forklift was kind of like a stepping stone to allow you to explore future systems in the future.
Yeah, so like the jet skimmer, water jet, the gyrocopter, it's like taking control of something.
Yes.
And that allows, again, us to build more.
Has the story changed in any meaningful way since the game entered early access, or have you kind of had it all mapped out so far and how you wanted to tell it?
Everything was mapped out already 4 years ago.
Okay, wow, okay, yeah. At the start of the game, are there actually any humans still alive in the world, or is the player truly alone and the only humans are up in space?
That would be giving too much information.
Away. Too much away.
The people you send in a space are alive, and there are people in space that are alive.
And the previous robots and caretakers that we find, are they simply out of juice, or did something happen to shut a lot of them down? Why can we find some of them? We go into some of these rooms and they're like hung up like cattle, like in these like rooms and stuff like that. Oh, is
that kind of room?
Like, and some of them are like just like strewn about inside of like a container and stuff like that.
Well, clearly something has happened.
Yes.
So some robots have been shut down.
Yeah.
And I don't know what room you were talking about, but
there's quite a few I've stumbled upon.
Okay. So maybe that's related to something that has specifically happened.
Okay.
And maybe the story is maybe coming.
Okay.
But there's few logs that tell about the shutting down the caretakers.
That's all the questions for today. Thank you so much for taking the time and for running through it. And that's all good. Is there anything you'd like to say to players watching? And
try the game. There's a demo. If you don't like, then you don't lose anything. But hopefully you like the game and play the demo. And we should update demo also.
Yes. Yeah.
Soon. So, but it's like there's no risk.
No.
Trying to be caretaker, good caretaker.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's have after that. It's like you sit down.
Oh.
let's have this thing that I'm interviewing you.
Oh, you want
to it's the video and
yeah. You can ask me questions.
Yeah. So it's like because you can then cut this.
Yeah, I can cut. Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
So hello, what's your name and what you do in YouTube?
My name is Ben, or ProRogueBear, and I showcase indie games and new experiences and worlds for people to explore from everything across Steam and PC, really. And that's
cool. How long you have been streaming?
A couple of years now on YouTube, creating content and kind of delivering those videos that way. Yeah.
What's the biggest video that you have made so far with most
Well, it would be The Last Caretaker.
Oh, really? Okay. Nice.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, The Last Caretaker. And yeah, that was something I was able to jump into early access in the end of October, like the pre-alpha, I think it was.
Okay.
And yeah, it was one that I saw in the February kind of showcase, and yeah, instantly when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna like that. And then fast forward, I get an email with the key and jump straight in and have a great time. And I
Never looked back.
don't know why it took off, but
Yeah.
people liked it and people still watch it now, and yeah, it's really, really good.
What's the toughest memory of streaming or making videos about the games? What's the toughest memory that you're like, okay, that was really hard?
I think it's got to be when it comes to trying to record, making sure everything's all perfect on the outside. Like, you got to make sure audio is good. Like, there's nothing worse than recording something, then you realize your mic's been muted, or it's just ran out of storage and stuff like that. And so it's, from a technical point of view, trying to make sure everything's as good a quality as possible for when I'm putting that video up. It makes the process a lot easier. But I think more so it's trying to make sure I'm having fun with the game I'm playing as well, and like enjoying it, because I think that really tells to the viewers if you're playing something and you're not having a good time with it. They can pick up on that energy as well.
Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
For the next 10 years, retired on a yacht, hopefully. No. Hopefully still playing games and having fun and exploring new worlds and things like that. Hopefully still playing The Last Caretaker. You'll still be putting out updates as well. And yeah, we'll be plenty of sailing around, hopefully.
We will keep you occupied with the
Yes.
updates. So
Yes.
let's see. But yeah, our game is not kind of still should be going.
Yeah, no, that would be great. That'd be great.
Then it will be pretty big game, because we have in a
Massive, wouldn't it?
5 months we have done 4 updates.
Yeah.
So it's in 1 year it's 8 multiplied by then 80 updates.
Yeah, 80 updates. Got a lot of work ahead.
I cannot retire.
No, not yet. Well, there you have it. That was quite fun. At the end there, I think Antti's mic had literally, I don't know if it died, it just stopped working for some reason. And then it was still coming through the thing. I don't know if when he tugged his shirt, if he like knocked it or something, but yeah, that was quite funny, because we were talking, I was literally talking about the when mic or audio doesn't record properly, and then by some weird fate it stopped then as well. And literally like 5 minutes later, the camera ran out of battery anyway, and we'd wrapped up anyway. But here I am with the outro. Just thank you so much for watching. I hope that was useful. Like I said, I wanted to have something that where it wasn't just asking questions about update 4, and obviously never really interviewed anyone before. I've done job interviews, but I've never really done a one-on-one like camera interview for like from a journalistic point of view. So plenty of stuff to learn from there. Do appreciate you guys bearing with me on that. Yeah, like I said, tried to get all the questions in that we could. There were some that I just couldn't ask. There was some where this was recorded at the end of the day, so there was some where it didn't make sense for me to ask it, given what I then found out. And there was some that were actually really good, but they came in afterwards, and I hadn't had a chance to prep and see those beforehand. I think some people have still been putting some of the questions on the videos afterwards. So yeah, it was a really cool experience. Antti was such a great sport, and such a nice welcoming person as well. Was really very comfortable, and just yeah, and as well, like, not to discredit, like, Antti's like doing this interview in English, not his native language, and yeah, just did such a good job of that. So yeah, it was such a great opportunity. Hope you guys liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Remember as well, update 4 is out now as well for The Last Caretaker, and I think until the 25th or 26th of May, it's actually 20% off on Steam as well, so you can get it a little bit cheaper. And there's more content than ever at this moment in time as well. I'm almost at 150 hours on just one playthrough. There's people that jump into my live stream, they're like, I'm 500 hours into this and stuff. It's like absolutely insane. And a lot more to come. Like you saw at the end of that video there, which I've had to cut for things, for reasons. There are many years planned for content with this game. So lots to look forward to. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.